So when you look at kind of how Slice started, was it kind
Mhm.
of your vision initially? I know you mentioned you had a co-founder. How did things kind of first get the ball rolling?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I love origin stories personally. I'm like I love stories. So we kind of honestly have I don't know, a typical like started in a garage kind of story, which sounds kind of ridiculous, but that's really how it happened. Uh, Chris, my co-founder, who I mentioned a minute ago, he and I were both working at a medical device company together, and we had an application where we were trying to print some higher temperature plastic, specifically PEEK, and get them into a clean room. So they had to, um, be sterilizable. And at the time in 2016, we couldn't really find anybody to do it. And so Chris was like, "Okay, well, this can't be that hard. It's just a thermoplastic. Like, surely somebody knows how to do this." And so he called a bunch of people, couldn't find anybody, and he was like, I'm gonna figure out how to do it." So he goes back to his garage. He had a mill in his garage, like any good engineer, and so he started prototyping stuff and came back a few months later and was like, "Dan, I think I have something that works. I figured out why nobody can print PEEK. You need a better hot end, and you need an enclosure. I don't know how to do the enclosure, but I think we can do a hot end." And so um, came up with this idea. We looked at the market, built prototypes, went to Murph, as I mentioned
Yeah.
before we started the podcast. Yeah, so we went to Murph and launched there with some prototypes. We had 30 or 40 of them, something like that. And we sold out in a few hours. And we're
Okay.
like, whoa, okay, this is for real. Like, people are actually interested in this. And from there, we went to some, larger, sort of like more industrial trade shows, and realized, yeah, there's definitely a need for this type of product in the market, and it can help solve some pretty cool pressing issues. So that's how we started.
That's so cool. I love origin stories also. And I definitely want to kind of pick up on kind of your path to where you are today. So that was
Mhm.
in Murph 2018. You made
Yeah.
the first 40 prototypes, I'm assuming, on the mill in Chris's
Actually,
garage.
so we found a machine shop that would do it for us,
Okay.
because we were trying to build marketing materials and a booth, and yeah, there were just all these moving parts while working full time, of course. So we were doing this nights and weekends, and so Chris just wasn't going to be able to machine them all in his garage in time to hit the
Gotcha.
deadlines.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
That's a lot of mill work.
Yes.
So was this entirely bootstrapped, self-funded? Because from my experience, building 40 of something is a lot harder than building one, and there's a lot
Yeah.
more capital involved in that.
Yeah. So we bootstrapped. I mean, we're essentially still bootstrapped. We have
Okay.
used some financing to help move things along, but yeah, we're pretty much bootstrapped. It's been quite the ride. So
Yeah.
it took us a little while to go full time with this because we wanted to try and keep the risk relatively low, in the sense of, I have a wife and kid to support, so we wanted to not lose the house and things like that. So we definitely still went out on a limb, but we wanted to make sure we had revenue coming in first, and sort of do like the lean approach to starting a company. I don't know if you're familiar with Lean Startup, but great book.
It's one of my
Um,
favorite books.
yeah, it's a great book. So we kind of
uh,
followed that model.